This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and MouseFan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get your free no-obligation quote, visit www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, April 9th, 2008, and this is episode 393 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgberg from StudioCentral.com. On the show today, we have Mike Scopa of allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
So as you can see, Space Mountain is hardly just another form of space travel. It's an adventure.
Tomorrowland Transit Authority.
Right.
Very good. Also on the show today, we have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
Outstanding. And also on the show today, we have Len Testa, who's the co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
Thank you, Matt. And I am happy to be here getting jiggy with all of you.
It's Wednesday, and we're answering your listener questions. So let's start out with a question from Corey. I think, Newell, you'll be able to answer this one. It starts off, hey, boys, love you, love the show. A few quick questions. First, I was given $250 by the aunt of someone I'm going with to do something fun and different. I've been to Disney many times, so I'm looking to do something really interesting besides the tours. Any ideas on how to use this money? All of my dining reservations are already made. $250. If you don't want to do tours necessarily, I think there are two resorts that I really like in order just to spend time at to do other things. And that's going to be Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness. I think I mentioned on the last live show that I did the horseback riding over there, which was a lot of fun. It's not going to cost you $250. It's actually not bad. It's like $45, something like that, per person. A lot of fun. It's definitely very different. And Mr. Newell, you did the Segway tour at Fort Wilderness.
Right.
And you liked that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's great. I did it twice. I might do it again this August.
Very good. That's something easily right there that you can do. What I would recommend that you actually check on is going to one of those resorts, going to the concierge desk, asking for a list of activities at the resort and some of the things you can do that aren't, part of the parks over there. They often have a list. They can also get you lists from other resorts. The deluxe resorts tend to have the most amount of stuff to do. Fort Wilderness has a lot. I mean, you can go do the campfire, which is a lot of fun over there. You can roast marshmallows with Chip and Dale. You can go do the hay rides. You can do the carriage rides, and the carriage rides are at Port Orleans as well as at Fort Wilderness. So there's a lot of fun stuff to do, and it's a great way, I think, to spend the money. Is just spend some evenings going to these resorts and trying these little different things you can tack onto your day.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd do anything big like the like a dinner party or like the Princess Perfectly Tea Party or whatever it's called. I don't know if I'd do that. How about try some of the watercraft? Cruises are just
I know they're
Nah, they're not for me.
I don't know.
I just think I like the idea of just spreading it out a lot and doing little things that add up to a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Corey also asks, how are the crowds June 4th through the 14th? In contrast to my last question on how to spend lots of money, I'm a med student and don't unfortunately have much of my own to spend on things like the crowd calendar. Would you be able to tell me what the crowds look like then? First thing to do with your $250 is spend 8 of it and go for your Plans.com subscription.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about a Disney World trip. $8 is nothing. But yeah, okay, just answer the question. I'm just kidding, by the way. I mean, don't forget, you can always use the Matt is Cool discount code.
That's right.
Starting around the first week of June, it's really 9s pretty much for the rest of the summer. You get the occasional 8, get the occasional 7, but that through like the end of June, and in the end of June you start seeing a few 10s popping up around 4th of July.
Hey Corey, I've got a great way for you to spend your $250 since you're going down June 4th to 14th. We're having a Star Wars Weekend private dinner, and you're going to be down there for it. So if you're interested in coming, just email me at matt@wdwtoday.com. That goes for any of our listeners, but Corey, certainly send me an email, and I can give you some more information about that.
What are the dates for that?
For what?
Your dinner?
Oh, it's on June 8th.
Okay.
Corey,
End of the first Star Wars weekends.
yes, correct. That'll be the Sunday of the first Star Wars weekend. It'll be a lot of fun. Got some surprises planned. And
Do tell.
this is the question I was trying to get at for Newell. Corey also says, and I gotta know, who's the Opie and Anthony show listener in the group? I know there has to be one. I've heard references, and apparently you have your own soundboard now. Frunkus. I don't know what he's talking about.
I never heard of them. I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about, Corey. And next email is from Bob Murphy, who writes, I'm new to the MP3 scene, and I've just discovered the wonderful world of Disney podcasting. I'm a big Disney World fan, and in my opinion, what you guys do is a great public service. I found and have spent some time listening to the archive shows of a few different casts. There's one thing that is driving me nuts, and I hope you can shed some light on this. I know that Lou Mangello is a fellow podcaster. I was wondering what the Italian salutations you and some of the guests use are. They seem to be good-natured, but you can never be too sure. Keep up the appreciated work. Bob, I can't begin to recommend that you go try the Walt Disney World Today wiki. Just go to www.today.com, and on the right-hand side, you'll see the wiki. I'll put a link in the show notes in case you don't want to look on the right. You just want to look in the middle. But right over there is an explanation of all of the inside jokes of the show, and that one can easily explain the Mangello joke along with many other jokes you might have been wondering about, and it might be helpful to you and some other of our newer listeners. Next email is from Ted Clover of Upper Saddle River, New Jersey, who writes, Hi, Matt, Mike, and Len, if he's there.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
We're going to Walt Disney World in late April 2008 for 5 nights and have a room-only reservation at the Polynesian. We have some old park hopper tickets from 2003 that have some unused days. Is there any way to check how many days are left before we leave? I know that there are at least 2 days, maybe 3.
We never get that question.
The answer to that is no, there isn't. You have to.
You have to go down. Yeah.
You have to go to guest relations. That's the only way you can get it checked. Sorry. Ted also wants to know, what do you recommend we do for tickets on this trip? Should we buy new Magic Your Way park hopper tickets for the 5 or 6 days we'll be there, or should we get 10-day tickets with no expiration option and save all unused days for a future trip, or should we take our chances with the old tickets and buy additional days that we'll need to use when we get down there? Our group consists of 3 adults and 2 kids. Thanks very much, and thanks for a very informative and entertaining podcast.
I don't know if I'd go with the no expiration.
It's a lot of money, and there's because I actually got 2 reader questions on this last week. The thing is that according to Disney, fewer than 15% of multi-day tickets with expiration options that were used on one vacation were ever used again on another vacation. So people lose them, they misplace them, they don't bring them back, they throw them away inadvertently. Fewer than 15%. So, unless you've got like a safety deposit box or like a fire safe that you can put those things in, and you remember to get them out before you leave, because I can't tell you the number of times I've left without my water park passes.
Right.
It's probably not a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, it requires you to put out a lot of money in advance. Obviously, over the years, your investment will come back, but like Len said, you got to remember to bring them, and you got to remember not to throw them away or, have them accidentally get destroyed, and that's always the caveat to that, I think.
Right, exactly.
Next email is from Brett from Albany, Oregon, who writes, now on to my question. Living on the West Coast, we're only able to get out to Walt Disney World every 4 years at best. Once every 4 years at best. My wife and I went without kids on our last trip, but are planning on going with our 2 youngest sons in 4 years. The kids will be 14 and 11 in our 2012 plans. So how would you plan for a trip that is 4 years out? Buy no expiration tickets now and put them in a safe? What can be planned for 4 years down the road? How can I budget for that far out? What has been the rate of expense increase over the last 4 years, and can I expect the same rate over the next 4 years to come? I really see nothing out there for those of us who are looking at years down the road to plan a vacation in Walt Disney World. My frequent flyer miles aren't supposed to expire, but who knows in 4 years, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, frequent flyer miles aren't good for anything. That's a great question though about the about tickets.
Yeah, I would recommend. See, this is the thing where, again, like we mentioned for the previous email or Brett, it would obviously speaking.
I actually know the answer to this, by the way.
Okay.
So we've actually tracked the increase in ticket prices from 2004 on for certain Disney versus other things.
Okay.
So the things that are are generally go up the least is an annual pass, which averages an annual increase of about 14.5%. A Disney adult 7-day Park Hopper Plus, or the Magic Gearway equivalent of it, averages a 15% annual increase. The Disney adult 1-day 1 park pass usually has increased about 22% per year on average. And then from 2004 to 2006. Child 7-day passes and then adult 4-day passes generally go up between 28 and about 44% over a period of 3 years.
So like we said before, obviously if you can ensure that the tickets you buy are going to be in a safe place, you're not going to lose them, and you're going to remember them, it would be a good idea to buy the tickets now, because in 4 years from now, they're going to go up, like Len mentioned. What is that? In 4 years, what is that? For our Magic Your Way tickets, what are we talking about? Like a 100% increase? Is it like 20%?
So that's it would probably go up by about a third or so.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a 10-day ticket right now and it's $250, it'd be like $330 or so in a few years.
Okay. But you would recommend that, obviously, given the caveat of making sure they don't get damaged or anything like that, and he remembers them.
Yeah, so Xerox them and put the Xeroxes in a safe place, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll have to update that for the next edition of the Unofficial Guide, because it's interesting. The things that we compare it to are the cost of a gallon of gas, which obviously has gone up more, and then the U.S. median home prices, which obviously have dropped. So it turns out that U.S. hourly wages and the U.S. Consumer Price Index, which has also jumped. My guess is that the only thing that's increased faster in the economy than Disney park prices is the cost of gasoline.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cost of a barrel of oil.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing is, for booking resorts and things like that, it makes sense for you to start thinking about that so you can have that all planned out. What I might also go ahead and do is contact a good Disney travel agent and then have them tell them you're looking for 2012. Obviously, you can't book anything now, but what they can do is they can set it up so that when you get to the point where you can make it out, I forget how much, and that's mentioned on previous shows, how far out you could start making reservations. It's something like a year and some change out, 18 months, something like that. But it allows you to go and they'll book it for you at the first available opportunity, so that ensures that you're going to get that resort you were planning on right off the bat. And other than that, just do the same thing people do that book trips, for 6 months, 4 months out. Book everything, have everything ready. You can plan out your park itinerary and things like that. And as attractions maybe get closed or are added or things change, you can adjust them as needed. And it kind of be a good way for you to, keep doing stuff over the course of the next 4 years, to have everything planned out, because you'll be keeping track of how everything's going. Next email is from Kim from Wakefield, Massachusetts, who writes, "Greetings, Matt, Mike, and Len. I'm a huge fan of the podcast and longtime listener. The family is planning a trip for July 2008. While we're frequent visitors to Disney, it's been many years since we've been at Disney for July 4th. Years ago, like back in 93, when we were there, the crowds were unbearable. This year, we're going to be in Disney for the 4th of July. We're arriving at Disney on July 3rd. Our original plans were to forego the parks and go on the 4th in favor of the pool, but now we're contemplating going to Animal Kingdom as it would be the least crowded option. It's not a park that's open late, but there are no fireworks. I just wanted to find out your guys' opinion. Should we stay away from the parks on July 4th, or should we venture out? And if we should, which park should we choose? Thanks so much for the great work."
I've been down there a couple of years around July 4th and July 4th, and I know at least twice I've been to the Magic Kingdom on July 4th. And depending upon what you're looking for, if you go to the Magic Kingdom early on July 4th, you can do a lot of things before it gets really crowded. But be advised that by 10:30, 11 o'clock, you're going to have to make a decision. And the decision would be, are you going to stay there for the fireworks, or are you going to do the right thing and go to Epcot? But I would not avoid the parks. I just would recommend that it's more important on July 4th, as it is on Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas, to get up early and make it to the park, especially if you're going to Magic Kingdom that day and it's Extra Magic Hour morning. It's really, you shouldn't be frightened to go to a theme park on the 4th of July. But again, if you're going to go to that theme park, especially the Magic Kingdom, don't think about going to the Magic Kingdom at around 5 or 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you may not get in.
Get in.
Yeah, you're not going to get in.
It will get crowded, although mean, it hasn't been that crowded the last couple of times I've been there. I mean, to the point where it was really driving me crazy. I would not go to the studios for July 4th. I mean, at night. I would either go. My choice would be Epcot at night, number 1, Magic Kingdom, number 2.
Actually, that mirrors the advice that the unofficial guide has given. We're saying stay away from the studios on July 4th. We're saying Animal Kingdom is actually the park to go to in the morning,
right,
and then Epcot in the evening. And yeah, so last year the Magic Kingdom was fairly crowded for 4th of July, but the 2 years before that, it wasn't bad. I think we had like 90-minute waits in 2006 and 2005 peak, but last year I think was pretty crazy with waits in the 120, 130-minute range or above. So anyway, I like 4th of July. It's actually one of my favorite holidays. It's up there with Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Great. For this next email, which is from Joe from City Island, Mr. Newell, I need your assistance because
hey, City Island.
He writes,
you doing?
I need your help because he says the next statement needs to be said in a heavy Bronx accent.
Okay.
So I need your help. It's going to be the thing that he wrote was Mangello gentlemen. So if you could say that in a heavy Bronx accent, please.
Mangello gentlemen.
Very good. You guys were nice enough to answer my questions on show number 336, and it was the one where I was planning to bring my girlfriend to Walt Disney World during Marathon Weekend, and it would be her first trip down there in 15 years, and your input was very helpful. I just wanted to say thanks and offer up a very quick thank you, and I have 2 questions for you. Was planning on heading back to Walt Disney World between Thanksgiving and Christmas. As far as crowd levels go, what week between those 2 holidays seems best? What are the crowds like at Walt Disney World during Mouse Fest? I was hoping to go this year.
Between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, probably that first 2 weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, the first 2 weeks. Actually, through Christmas is on a Thursday this year, so really, up until about the 20th or so, you're really looking at below average crowds every day from December 1st on.
Yeah, Joe.
Even with Pop Warner there, I mean, you might have some difficulty getting a room at a Value Resort, and I don't know if I'd stay at a Value Resort because of that. But other than that,
Come down for Mouse Fest, Joe. It'd be great to be able to meet you and your new ball and chain. Joe also wants to know, are the hotel rates between Thanksgiving and Christmas increased due to the fact that it's holiday season?
No, not until the week of Christmas.
Yeah. Thanks for all the great podcasts. I'm a big fan, and keep up the good work.
Mike, you want good seafood? City Island's the place.
All right, Mike. Thanks, buddy. Go down there. I'll get some New England clam chowder, and I'll be good to go.
Next email is from Kits21 on WWToday.com. Hoorah! All right, so guys, first off, I have to give an obligatory I love your podcast out of the way. You guys do a great job. Keep up the great work. Us listeners really enjoy what you do. Now on to my question. My family and I are taking our yearly voyage to Walt Disney World with our 2 kids, son 13, daughter 7. But we're undecided when would be the better time to go. Our original plan was to go the end of October, the week of Halloween, October 26th through November 2nd. But we were also looking at the 3rd week of December, after Pop Warner, of course, December 14th through the 21st. We have been checking Len's Touring Plans website and have seemed to be similar crowd levels for both weeks. The only thing that's caught our eye was the fact that the week of Halloween seems to be pretty low. Are crowds levels on Touring Plans website fairly accurate, or should we expect them to go up as Halloween nears?
I don't think Halloween is going to go up because Disney's now come out with the estimate of park hours for October. So unless you see a radical increase in attendance for some reason in October, they're going to be pretty stable. The one thing I would say is that I think during that week there are something like 4 or 5 different, 3 or 4 different Not So Scary Halloween parties. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. Because so one of the things that makes up the crowd calendar is the park hours. When there are Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties, the park closes 3 hours earlier. Mm-hmm. So that tends to decrease just slightly the crowd calendar number. So those places where we've got 4s in that week, they may be 5s. But ballpark, it's pretty accurate. One of the interesting things we do for the crowd calendar is we go back and we look at. So we change the formula every once in a while. We have all of these things that go into the crowd calendar, and each thing gets a certain weight. So, for example, the daily park hours gets a certain weight in the formula. The weekly park hours get a certain weight in the formula. And there are 100 other things that go into it. And they all get a little bit of weight. The thing that we do when we assign the weight, we assign the weight so that if we were to go back and predict the wait times or the crowd levels for all of last year where we actually know what really happened, we assign the weight so that the overall error is minimized. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that there's no other combination of weights that would produce more accuracy. And we use something called the simplex method to do that. It's in Excel. It's fairly complicated, but anyway.
Tends to bring down the Canadian computing infrastructure from time to time.
There was one time where we might have caused an outage with a significant part of the Canadian government's computing infrastructure. That's just an oopsie. Things like that happen, right? I mean, you gotta break eggs to make omelets. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, in general, yeah. So I mean, where we've got 4s and 5s, 4s to 6s. I mean, it's that's gonna be ballpark. But yeah, that's roughly what it should be.
Good. Kits21 also wants to know, also, is the week between Pop Warner and the Christmas time seem logical in that crowds will not be too heavy between 7 and 10s? It will just be all 4 of us. We don't mind doing the old commando touring, but we're also wise enough to head back to the resort for a break around midday. We'll be staying on site, and I believe we discovered the joy of renting our own car. Anyway, if you guys could give us a little insight, would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I think it's a great time, actually. Again, it's just like the week in October where you've got Not So Scary's. Here you've got 4 Mickey's Very Merry Christmas parties that week. But again, though, I think kids are still in school that week, up until the end of that week. I think the 19th is going to be the last day of school for most kids. So if you're there that week, you should have relatively low crowds.
Next email is from Darren from Middlebury, Connecticut, who writes, Dear Mike, Matt, and Lou. What?
Lou, ouch.
I learned a valuable lesson while washing my hands at Walt Disney World on my last trip, and I'd like to share it with some of our listeners. I'd also like to thank Sparkle Paper Towel brand for providing me with the hand-washing tip sign in the bathrooms. They're fantastic. For example, did you know that you should first wet your hands and then apply soap? It's true. Then, according to Sparkle, you should scrub your hands and then rinse. Now for the tricky part, you must dry your hands using paper towels. No other method of drying will work here. Thanks, Sparkle.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was so ready to look for the air dryers.
Len, new chapter in the unofficial guide: how to wash your hands.
Exactly.
Next email is from Jenny from Pass Christian, Mississippi. Writes, Hi, Matt, Mike Squared, and Len.
Christian, but go ahead. Okay, whatever.
Oh, Pass Christian.
Go ahead. It's fine.
Not like I live in the South or anything. Thanks to the military, my husband and I are relocating to the United Kingdom later on this year. This means that it'll be quite some time before we'll be able to visit our beloved Walt Disney World. Yes, 2 visits, and my husband is now a fan as well. However, we do get the benefit of getting the experience Disneyland Paris. We're finding it incredibly difficult to find any good guidebooks on the park, though. Is there any unofficial guide for Disneyland Paris, or can you point us to a good website to find information on the best way to find Disneyland Paris information? Thanks so much. I'm a huge fan of your podcast. I appreciate any information you can give me.
There used to be an unofficial guide to Paris. But we haven't published it in many years. It's outdated now. I don't know of any good sites, actually. I'd just use Google.
Yeah, one of the ones that I like quite a bit is a website called dlrpmagic.com.
Oh, yeah, they're great. They got some great audio.
Yeah, it's a wonderfully designed site. Lots of information. When I look for information on Disneyland Paris, it's where I go. So dlrpmagic.com. Check the show notes. I'll put a link in there for you. And enjoy the limeys over there. Next email is from...
Now the British. So who's next?
Next email is from Mario, who writes, Hey guys, my family and I are headed to Walt Disney World in December, and we're going to be staying at Coronado Springs Resort. Can you guys tell me a little bit about your experiences there, rooms, activities, surroundings, etc.? I also hear that they have a different order system for their food court. Can you enlighten me? Thanks guys, keep up the great podcasts.
I really like Coronado Springs. I was working on the photos for the website, and I have like 400 of Coronado Springs. I'll have to put them up, but it's really spaced out. It's probably I don't know if it's as big or bigger than Port Orleans Riverside, but it's freaking huge.
It's huge.
It's divided up into 3 or 4 different themes or sections: the Ranchos, the Cabanas, and what's the other one? Ranchos, Cabanas, I was going to say the Caballeros, but that's the Cowboys, so that's probably not what you'll be saying. Anyway,
5 minutes.
Yeah.
No.
it's speaking of the food court is a little odd in that they give you a punch card when you walk into the food court, and there are stations set up, sort of like a mall food court.
And this is the Pepper Market you're talking about, right?
Pepper Market, yeah, right. And instead of paying at every individual store in the food court, you just get your ticket punched with the food that you take from that area. Mm-hmm. And then when you're done eating, you go through a cash register and pay for everything on your ticket. So don't ever lose the ticket. It's very bad. Right. But that's and so it's a little bit different than any other food court on the Disney system. Personally, I like it, and I know a lot of people that hate it. I tend to like it. The one problem I would say with it though is the Cabanas. By the way, are the other places that we were thinking of: the Casitas, the Ranchos, and the Cabanas. The one thing about the Pepper Market is when the place is completely full, when the resort is completely full because of conventions, that's the only counter service dining in the resort, and it can get filled really, really fast.
Yeah. That's why I don't like Coronado Springs. I was there once for about a week and a half and saw too many conventioneers, and it was just not what you want to do or what you want to see when you're down there on vacation. You don't want to see suits. You don't want to see anything that reminds you of work. So,
gotcha.
That turns me off.
Next email is from Aaron in Portland, Maine, who writes, "Hello. I've enjoyed listening to your show and have a question for you. We're going to Walt Disney World for a trip soon. My 2.5-year-old is making her first trip and is super crazy about Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Is she in a parade, or are there any opportunities to see her in the park? If not for meet and greet, just to see her in general?"
Is she in the show, the castle show?
Yes. Yeah, I often confuse Maleficent with the evil queen from Snow White. But Maleficent, she is in the stage show over there, Mike, in front of the castle court, I believe.
Yeah. Pretty sure, yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's in there. That's the bona fide way of seeing her. I haven't seen her for a meet and greet, and I've been to Pirate and Princesses around the parks. I know the Evil Queen is available, but again, that's a different person.
You can meet her at the end of what's the Halloween show? I forget the mix. They call it the mix, the villains mix and greet or whatever.
At the end of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it that I know of.
Yeah. Other than that, Aaron also says, I also know there was a villain shop on Main Street. Is that still open?
What is it?
There's a villain shop on Main Street. I know there's a Villains in Vogue at the studios on Sunset Boulevard, although its focus on the villains has kind of been lessened over the year. Now it's got like Pirates of the Caribbean stuff in there and High School Musical stuff.
There might be a portion of the Emporium that has some villains merchandise, but I don't know of any particular shop that is devoted to the villains.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe he's thinking of the villain shop in the studios. That would be my guess. Could be wrong.
On Sunset Boulevard. Yeah,
Villains in Vogue. And that is still open, so you can definitely give that a shot. One last email here. It's going to be coming from Grant in Colorado Springs, Colorado, who writes, "What's up, Len?"
Hey, how's it going, Grant?
So,
he writes, "Hey guys, first off, I have to give kudos to Newell for doing an amazing job with the audio quality of Mouse World Radio, and also with his research in determining all of the info on some of those obscure songs, title, artists, etc."
Thank you.
Very good, Newell. I have
Thanks,
two questions.
Mom.
I have two questions to throw at you guys. I'm a pass holder and have been trying to plan a quick weekend trip for the next pass holder discount on hotels. The current one ends quite soon. When does Disney normally announce annual pass holder discounts for upcoming months?
It's interesting. They used to do it like 3 months in advance, but I think now it's like 1 or 2 months in advance.
Yeah, they just announced the ones that are coming up for the end of April and into May, as of this episode. So they don't come out terribly in advance. I mean, like I said, like Len said, a month or two in advance is really what they're doing right now. And I think, Len, would you agree with me that it's based on the reason why they're holding back so much and not doing it more in advance is simply because they want to engage how reservations are going and where their needs are?
I think that's exactly that they are looking to see, checking their inventory very, very closely. Oh, one interesting thing that we've done, by the way, speaking of hotel rates, do we have time to do it? Do we have time to talk about it?
Very quickly, very quickly.
So one of the things that we were looking at was looking for the upcoming summer season, whether the price of hotel rooms in Orlando is going up or down. And so we used our hotel database. We have a database of like 82 million quotes that we refresh every night. One of the interesting things that we see is that unlike 2006 and 2007, where hotel prices were relatively the same from mid-June to mid-July, prices are actually going down in Orlando right now for hotels. So if you wanted to book a trip between June 15th and July 15th this year, you're better off waiting versus the last couple of years where you were not better off waiting, where actually prices increased a little bit. So that tells me that the market's a little bit soft for summer.
Very good. Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. For Orlando Testo, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hodgeberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Tell him, Fred!
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio. This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and MouseFan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and MouseFan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get your free no-obligation quote, visit www.mousefantravel.com.